by the new head coach of the Lions from Southeastern. Please welcome Frank Scelfo. Welcome to Houston, the Southland Conference Football Media Day, and I know you're excited about starting your new era at Southeastern, Coach.
I am, Randy. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Talk about what you've done so far, or you've been on campus, and let the folks know, to kind of set the table of your expectations and throughout the spring and leading into the fall.
Yeah, it's been a quick 6 months for me. I got here at the end of January, so hit the ground running from a recruiting standpoint, had about a week, and then got to signing date after that. It's been basically evaluating our players, learning our university, the athletic department, and understanding who our team is, and our team understanding who we are as a staff. We've got a mission statement that in our athletic department, which pertains to the classroom, competition, and the community. And from a competition standpoint, we want to win championships. That's what we want to do. We want to win the conference championship. We want to win a national championship. We want to represent this conference on a national scale, as do everybody else that's here today. Also in the classroom, we want our guys to graduate. We want to get our APR up. We want our guys to walk out of the university with a degree in one hand and a ring on the other. And then when it comes to the community, we announced a partnership this past week with CASA, the Child Advocacy Services group that represents foster children. And our football team will be associated with those kids throughout the year, this season, during the season, and then also in the spring as we take a more active role where we'll have a little bit more free time to do that. So we're going to meet those 3 C's, which is the mission statement of our university and our athletic department of classroom, competition, and community.
Talk a little bit about Coach, and by the way, if you have a question for Coach, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. We'll get the microphone to you as we spend the next 10 minutes or so with Coach before we hand it off to Lincoln Rose. Coach, when you prioritize, once you took this job, transitioning as a new head coach, what are the priorities that you set when you step on campus?
You know, Randy, getting an understanding of the landscape of the department and our team, understanding who our players are. I think that was the biggest thing, our evaluation process of our players at each position and being able to put those guys in the right spots. I think that was the most important thing for our staff. Our players need to know who we are and what we're about, and then we need to understand who our players are and what they're about, and understand each other's expectations and how we plan to reach those goals together. So that was probably, and it's an ongoing process as guys come and go, but that's the most important thing to me.
Tell us what you think about and what you've known about the Southland Conference throughout your coaching career, what you've seen from these programs. It seems like the talent level continues to improve every year.
Well, I've recruited, being in college football in the South the last 20 years, I've recruited against these guys. So we played Southeastern in 2005 when I was at Tulane and had a heck of a game against them. My son played at UIW, so he's a graduate there, having played there for 4 years and being a part of that. So I watched him grow up through that program. And then, being from South Louisiana, I watched the McNeese State Cowboys. I watched the Northwestern State Demons. I watched Southeastern and Nicholls State. And I watched all those guys. And even when I was at Northeast, we played against those teams. So I understand, I have a great appreciation for and a great respect for this conference and what it's been able to do. I know Sam Houston has really been from a national standpoint, has been on the landscape the last few years, and we'll hope to continue to do that.
All right, we'll continue the next few minutes to break down some players that you've been around now in your short time there at Southeastern. Right now, let's open up to questions. Let's start to actually middle row there, back in the back. What you have?
Mike Eckenheimer with the Baton Rouge Advocate. Coach, can you break down that quarterback position, where y'all are right now, and kind of where you expect to be in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, it was like I was talking about earlier. The understanding and evaluating all of our guys is critical, and being able to put those guys in the right spot. So right now we've got 3 guys that are competing with Lorenzo Nunez, which was there last year, Chase and Virgil, and Byron Walker. And all 3 of those guys are going to get quality reps. They got them in the spring. They've had a good summer. They'll get them this fall in camp, and we'll make a decision as we get closer to the opening date. But the competition is never going to stop. It's going to continue on. It's an ongoing process throughout the entire season. So we're not ready to name any starter at any position, really, and until we get to what it's time we need to.
I see there.
I see Morrell, Port Arthur News. I know your brother was a head coach one time at Tulane, and I think you worked under him. What does he share with you about being a head football coach?
I'm sorry, can you?
I think your brother was once a head football coach. What have you learned from him about being a head football coach?
Yeah, he said not to talk to you guys too much. That's what he told me. No, it's I think it's so rewarding. We grew up. Our dad was a former head football coach. And so we grew up in that realm. And we understood what it takes to do those things. There's a leadership position and a responsibility that comes along with this spot. And it's something we've been prepared for. We didn't know it. We were prepared for that at a young age, growing up with our mom and dad. So that to me was the biggest thing with him. I was with him for 8 years at Tulane as a head coach, so I was able to see a lot of things and be put in those positions to make a lot of decisions that I'm having to make now. So it prepared me for that.
In the back, Chris Wachowski.
Hi, Coach. You brought in a lot of new coaches to your staff. Tell me about their preparation and what they've done to help the Lions get ready for this fall.
Yeah, we had a smooth transition. You know, I think when you that's probably the most important thing besides our players, is making sure that we put together a quality staff and get guys who really have the same vision that you have, which is, you know, want to make sure we take care of our players. We use the two words love and trust, and we want our players to love us and trust us, but we know it's a two-way street because we need to do the same thing with them. Greg Stevens is our offensive coordinator. He was there on the staff, or just got hired right after the season, and I was able to keep him there. He had been at Southeastern once before when they won back-to-back conference championships, and I wanted to make sure that he was going to remain a part of this process. So I'm excited about that. And then Louis Chofie he's been in the NFL the last 20 years, and I was able to land him and get him after the Senior Bowl, and after the whole NFL thing churned around, we were able to land him. So excited to get him. So we got two quality veteran coordinators, and then underneath those guys, we got some guys with a lot of energy and a lot of experience, and a lot of for them to be able to do the things that they're able to do right now has been exciting for them. On the road, recruiting, doing things like that, and then building relationships with our players.
All right, question far left side.
Coach, we had one of the top rushing offenses in the nation a season ago. What kind of offensive attack do you think the Lions will have in 2018?
You know, Kent, I think again, it kind of goes back to evaluation. We're still in that process, having 15 practices to evaluate who we were, who we are as a football team, who we are from a talent standpoint, and being able to take that and move forward to say who we're going to be this fall. We're not quite sure yet. We're still working through that process. Camp's going to be big for us to be able to evaluate our players, making sure we got them in the right spot, being able to take advantage of their strengths. So if we need to run the football, we will. If we need to throw the football, we will. Combination obviously would be the best thing, but we're going to do what we need to do to be able to be successful, move the ball down the field and score. Same thing defensively. If we need to be a pressure team to do what we need to do to be successful, we'll do that. If not, we won't. But we got to find out who can actually stand up and do the things that we need them to do. So this whole process is an evaluation for us all the way through August till we open up against ULM for the first game.
Coach, one of 5 coaches in this league to be a first-year coach here. Is that any kind of comfort to know that you're not alone, kind of getting your feet wet and getting started in this league?
I don't think they're going to be nice to me if that's the case. I don't know if those guys are. I don't think they will. No, it's not. It's not a. You know, I think anytime you jump into this business, it's competition from day one, and you better be a tough guy to be able to withstand all the stuff that's going to come at you. I don't think there's a coach in here that is going to be nice to somebody just for the sake of taking care of them. Everybody wants to win, and they know that their jobs are on the line each and every day you go out there. But I also know there's a lot of professionalism in this league. I know the guys in this league. I know the coaches in this league. I've coached against them. I've coached them. I've watched them coach. I have a great deal of respect for what they're able to do and what they have done. There's some guys in this league that I've coached with and been around for 25, 30 years, and there's a great deal of respect for them. The state of Louisiana, those 4 coaches in that conference were all former high school coaches in the state of Louisiana, including myself. So we know what that state's about. In the state of Texas, I know all of those guys. Those guys have been friends of mine for a long time. So it's great to see him today. It was great to see him yesterday. On game day, it'll be nice before the game, but when we got to play, and somebody's got to come out a winner and somebody's going to come out a loser. So that's how the competition's going to go.
All right, one last question for Coach before we hand it off to Lincoln Rose. Coach, what was your main takeaway after getting these guys in the spring, the evaluation process? You got some key guys that are back. That's got to help in a transition for you being the new coach.
Yeah, I really felt like the team really wants to do well. and they just needed a little direction and guidance. And that's what we were able to do that and steer them, and the passion that they have, their work ethic and things like that, I was excited about. I really like our guys. I like our team. I like our guys. I like the way they wake up every day and go to work. So from that standpoint, I think that was the thing that I took away from this past spring and then this summer with our 6 a.m. workouts. Those guys are there working their butts off every morning, and taking that away from them, to me, was extremely important, to be able to watch them and watch their work ethic. So from that standpoint, it's exciting for me.
Very good, Lincoln. Appreciate that. A few more moments here with Coach Scelfo, and you heard your student athletes there. I know you're proud when you hear them. You hear the excitement. They're ready to get this season underway.
Well, they've been practicing against each other, so they're anxious to see what happens out on the field against somebody else.
When you evaluate, I want to follow up a little bit. What's the biggest challenge when you're taking over a program and stepping in the evaluation process? Because you don't get a lot of time with them in the spring, but you've got to gather as much information as possible.
Yeah, you know, probably my problem is I don't know the teams as well in the league. A lot of these guys have a huge advantage from that standpoint because they've played through the league, been through it a couple of times. Right. So they understand the talent level across the league against each team. That I'm not familiar with. So that's what I'm trying to get as much information on our team and our guys so that when we do go play some other teams, I got a better idea how that's going to work out.
All right, let's talk about your schedule now a little bit. Your thoughts on that. You open with ULM on the road, followed by LSU, and then you get into conference play. Talk about how the schedule shakes out.
Yeah, it's 3 tough right in a row, but ULM's that's my alma mater, so I went to school there, so it'd be neat to go back up there and see some people and compete. I know they're going to have Matt Viator is he was in this conference for 10 years as head coach in McNeese, and he's one of the best coaches around. He's done a great job with them in a short period of time. They feel like this is probably going to be their best team they've had since they've gone Division I, gone to the FBS level. So I think they're excited about that. LSU's LSU. Line up, let's go. We'll find out. It'll be a great measure, great test for us, to find out who we are. Yeah. And then we take on the defending Southland Conference champions at UCA. So quite a start for us, but one we're looking forward to. But, we can't look past camp. Camp's so important for us. We report July 31st, and it's so critical for us to get out on a good foot August the 1st, that first day out there at practice, and have a smooth transition into the season.
All right, we've got about 3 minutes left before we go to break. Let's talk a little more about your offense. You mentioned that it's competition across the board, but you look at your receiving corps specifically. What have you been impressed with most? Because you've got a lot of guys back. We do. We've got a lot of guys back, but not a lot of production. So mostly last season was a lot of run. It was run-oriented offensively, so there's not a lot of production from the receiver position. So that's what we're trying to do is realize that those guys really haven't had a lot of game experience making big catches in clutch situations. That's an art. It's something that's got to be practiced. So we're spending a whole lot of time during spring ball and then again this summer and in camp. It'll be a big emphasis in situational football. Be able to put those guys in situations to make a big catch in a clutch situation. We've got to be able to go to them, and they've got to be able to come through. So I think there's some guys there that are talented, that run well, that has some length, that understand football, understand spatial awareness, can get off of man coverage, things like that. They just hadn't done a lot in a game situation. So that's where I can see a lot of growth coming out of that position. Because like you said, it is a talented group, but we need to be able to experience it. Yeah, we need to experience that part in the game. And that running a game, 283 yards a game, third in the nation. So good talent there, good production from them and up front of the offensive line.
There is. We lost most of the offensive line from last season, but we got a few guys back, and we've got some other guys that are ready to fill in. But we do. I think the running back position is going to be good. We got a couple of guys that had off-season knee surgery. We'll see if they come back and be ready to go for the first week. If not, we've got some other guys ready to go. But having a balance and a combination of being able to run the football when you want to run it, not when the defense dictates that you need to run it, but throw it when you want to throw it. I think that's a key for us to be able to do the things that we want to do when we want to do it, not necessarily being dictated to by the opposing team.
What's your takeaway from what you saw on the defensive side in the spring? I guess you look at linebacker, you lost 3 linebackers there, but do you like some guys you can plug in and get the job done?
We do. We've got some guys that run around pretty good. So that part there I was encouraged by. Again, lack of experience. So getting experience from those guys and allowing them to be in a position to go make plays, that's what we got to recreate as much as we can in practice prior to the games taking place. There's going to be some missteps. We know that. But being able to create as many of those situations as we can to get them ready for the first game, the 5th game, the 10th game is going to be critical. We should see a trend moving upward on the back end, the back 7, because there is so much inexperience back there, but there is some talent back there to work with.
Lastly, what have you, in the short time you've been there in Hammond, what have you seen already from the community support? You mentioned moving there, you're enjoying the area right now, but these fans love their football and they want to come out and support you guys.
They really do. There's been a nice outpouring of support for us. We've got a good, solid fan base. Our season ticket sales are up. We got some people that there's some excitement. So we got a few things happening this August with our team and the community becoming engaged. Like I said, forming a partnership with CASA and that group reaching out to the community. So we see some things that are taking place right now from our standpoint that really makes you feel good about being in Hammond, America right now.
There you go. Good stuff. Appreciate it. Best of luck to you this season in Hammond at Southeastern, Coach.
Thank you, Randy.
Thanks for the
Appreciate
insight. Frank Scelfo, head coach, Southeastern Lions. Should be a good season.